Hello everyone, Just Podcast TV is here. Please don't forget to like and subscribe and hit the bell icon to get notified on new contents.
Episode 313, Blind Spot. We still need a post-design adjustment. We need to make a specialized car to fight in all kinds of racing competitions. It will be our Warrior. It will be a great help to our brand if we go to different racing tracks to make our name known. The engine that has been specifically adjusted is the one that will make you famous, Professor Dusty. Dusty was so happy at that time. At his age, money was no longer important. All he wanted was a name. Don't worry, Director Marquez. I will carefully adjust this engine. The low-power version is completely compatible with the safety of the cabin to limit the combustion. It reduces the power and also reduces the usage of hydrogen. The high-powered version will be used together with the top car model to ensure the safety of the car and adjust the most perfect power and performance. The sports version will be the best engine, allowing it to ignore all enemies on the track. After promising Zach, Dusty took his people to continue fiddling with his power system. In Zach's eyes, these researchers were like children. They were willful. If they couldn't satisfy their wishes, they would feel wronged. However, their wishes should also be fulfilled. Just like every parent who didn't want their children to become famous. Now that his child had the chance to become famous, Dusty was happy and full of motivation. Looking at his happy back, Zach shook his head with a smile and waved Carson over. I think there's something wrong with the left column of this car. Normally I can't sense it, but when the angle of the left turn is about 45 degrees, the field of vision is reduced. The field of vision can reach up to 2 meters wide from 5 meters away. This blind spot is enough to hide almost anything. Carson was stunned. No way! The professional testers I found at these points have tested it. The biggest blind area isn't that big. As he spoke, Carson flipped through the information and prepared to look for detailed data. Zach directly took him into the car and then drove the car to the angle where he had found the blind spot when he was driving. After getting out of the car, Zach called Carson to the driver's seat and went to the blind spot in the car. Come, take a look now. Carson looked at Zach's position. There was no way he could see him. They were all blocked by the black edge of the pillar and the windshield. The approximate location was nearly 2 meters wide. It was a blind spot. But this was impossible. This had never happened during the previous test. That feeling was as if the originally thin and weak pillar had become bloated, blocking his vision. After getting out of the car, Carson stared at the pillar on the left in surprise. How could this be? This shouldn't be the case. The driver's seat raises his head, and his line of sight is tilted upwards. The front of the car is high. It is a special environment created by 3 aspects. Zach came closer to Carson and continued. Although it is a very special environment, it will not appear under normal circumstances. But once it appears, when the speed of the car reaches 60 miles per hour, it will cause people to be unable to react in time. When they see it, they will crash into it. You might not know if you don't drive, but as long as it's not those narrow intersections, it's normal for the car to cross 60 miles per hour. This means that there will be a major traffic accident in this car due to certain environmental factors. We need to find a way to get rid of these hidden dangers. After telling Carson, Zach pointed out some other small problems. But the other small problems were not too serious. It was a personal opinion. After all, everyone had different preferences. Maybe these little points were good in other people's eyes. They liked the circular steering wheel a little. Some people liked the flat-bottom steering wheel, so there was no way to generalize it. Therefore, Zach only mentioned how he felt when he drove, how to set it with Carson's problem. Regarding the problem of the blind spot just now, Carson seemed especially embarrassed. Episode 314, Trash. Director Marquez, it was my inattentiveness that caused this to happen. Zach waved his hand with a smile and did not let Carson continue. It has nothing to do with you. It has nothing to do with the driver. After all, it is a special case. So in the future, the driver will run all kinds of road conditions, including simulating the weather in the rain and the snow. If we find more problems now, we'll have less trouble in the future. Carson nodded. Take the blind spot problem from just now, for example. If there was an accident in the driver's seat, an exposure would be enough to send the brand of the new car into an irrecoverable state. After all, buying a car was not just about its appearance and power, but also its safety. If there was no safety, what was the point of this car? Comfortability was the prerequisite of safety. After leaving the test workshop, Carson went to work on this problem. When Zach was about to leave, he heard applause from not far away. Zach turned around and saw Luna in a white suit. At this time, Luna was lightly clapping, her face full of praise. As expected of Director Marquez, he is really meticulous when doing things. He even personally did things like testing cars, and he even discovered such a serious problem. He promptly proposed to amend it to prevent any accidents from happening after entering the city. I give you a thumbs up. After chatting for a while, Zach and Luna walked side by side towards QZ Group. Because Luna was the one who connected the company with Dream Group, she was also the representative of QZ Group. The two of them chatted about the new car as they walked. When they got off work in the afternoon, the two of them still had not talked about the car properly. It wasn't that there was any dispute between the two of them. It was just about the quality of the product, the suppliers, and so on. That night, Zach and Luna ate and chatted in a restaurant outside. A lot of things had been resolved. In short, everything was to ensure that the cars developed would be listed as soon as possible. The trial car had succeeded, and all the adjustments had been completed. It was getting closer and closer to mass production. Under the big name of QZ Group, mass production reporting departments and the like were naturally not a problem. Other things had already been prepared, including the components of the supporting companies and so on. In short, everything went smoothly. They just needed to wait for the automotive production line to open, and then they could mass produce cars. However, at this moment, another piece of irrelevant industry news broke out. It was found that a car from a competitive company had used some toxic chemicals in some of their car parts that, when heated by the engine, would melt and release toxic fumes. This also meant that when the instrument panel entered the factory to tune the car during the testing, some components would even explode. This piece of news had created a storm in the industry, and it had spread like wildfire on the internet. This sparked a massive backlash, because no one wanted their family to be in a car that could kill them. Fortunately, this car company does not belong to QZ, so it will not affect their new car production plan. However, Walker felt that it was better to be strict, so he checked the new cars, one by one. When he checked the sunscreen above his head, the numbers on the tester made his eyes widen. It had exceeded the standard levels of a certain material by 13 times. Walker immediately went to check the other car. Similarly, it was also the problem with the two sunshades. There were extra sunshades in the storeroom. Walker went back to check again. This check actually exceeded the standard. The cost of one sunshade was not expensive. Even if he went to the store to change the parts of the original factory standing, it was more than 100 pieces. As the chief quality officer, Walker immediately went up to Zach and informed him about this matter. Episode 315, Dangerous Materials. Director Marquez, regarding the parts, they are all within safe perimeters. QZ has been working with them all this time, and I have personally examined the parts that were sent over. There are no problems. However, this is the case for those that were sent over in bulk, and the value is especially high. Regarding Walker's earnest and careful look, Zach could not help but feel gratified. He was also glad that he had found such a serious and responsible quality officer. After praising Walker, Zach went straight to the warehouse to get a new sunshade. He tore open the bag and placed it in front of his nose. There was a pungent smell. It had an old rubbery smell, as if it had been left in the sun for a bit. Because he had to bring the bag with him when he got into the car to install it, in order to avoid dirtying the new car during the assembly process, the smell went away quickly. As long as the packaging bag was opened, the pungent smell would appear. Zach took the tester and the sunshade and went straight to Luna's office. At this time, Luna was working when the door suddenly opened without knocking, giving her a scare. When she saw that it was Zach, she heaved a sigh of relief. You scared me. Just now the quiet door suddenly opened and scared me. Hey, why are you holding the sunshade? And what is that hand of yours holding? After noticing the thing in Zach's hand, Luna curiously asked. Zach walked closer and directly threw the detector and sunshade on Luna's desk. After he sat down on the sofa, Zach lit a cigarette. I am trusting you guys to make my cars for me, using the best materials we can find for the cheapest cost. Yet, here I am, with trash going into my cars. Zach's attitude was quite impolite, not giving Luna any face at all. However, he would not give anyone face in this kind of matter. Not to mention Luna, even if Kate made such a mistake, it would not do. He built a car that was convenient for customers, not a killing car that plotted against customers. Luna realized that there was a problem with the sunshade. It was not a problem to look at it over and over again. When she saw the tester beside her and thought about the recent industry news, she quickly tore the packaging bag open. The moment she tore it open, a pungent smell hit her face, choking Luna until she coughed. Zach asked, "Do you think we should use the tester to test the material?" Luna's expression changed. She was very angry. She was not angry at Zach's words. She was angry at how these garbage parts came in. Picking up the gun-shaped detector device, Luna scanned the sunscreen. When she saw the electric screen display that the density of the reactive chemical was 13 times the usual, she was completely stunned. If it was just a little excessive, it could be considered a negligence on the other party's craftsmanship. But 13 times? Still negligence? This was murder. Opening the company's network, Luna quickly found the supplier, District Motor Plastic Factory. Luna then picked up the landline and called the factory security department. Detain all the people in charge of operating the indoor parts for me. And the external affairs department head also detain him. Without any instructions, no one is allowed to release these products. Luna's actions could be considered illegal in a stricter sense, but at this moment, she could not care less. After walking in front of Zach, Luna solemnly apologized. Sorry, Director Marquez. This is our dereliction of duty. Regarding the supplier, I will check all of them again. We will filter them out, one by one. We will definitely not let half of the quality goods enter our cars and flow into the market. Zach and Luna did not represent the individual right now. One was the Dream Auto Company, and the other was the QZ Group. Therefore, Luna's apology was reasonable. It had nothing to do with personal feelings, and was not qualified to be mixed with any personal feelings. One mistake is enough. Regarding the control of the components, I think it is worth discussing. Tomorrow, I will arrange for Carson to come over and discuss this problem with you. I hope that you can come up with a feasible plan to guarantee the quality of the product. If you can't do it, I don't mind an appeal to the court on this point. The court will judge that the cooperation agreement is invalid, and the unprofessionalism that you have shown in this cooperation will be the compensation for terminating the cooperation agreement. Zach was very fierce. In the business world, he had always been fierce, not backing off at all. Luna felt it, but there was nothing she could do. This was indeed a huge mistake on their part, and if the car with the problematic parts were to go public, once the safety of the parts were investigated, it would not only affect Zach's Motor and Automotive Company, but also the QZ Group. After all, they were the leaders of domestic companies, and they were also the older brothers. The key was that they still had so many joint venture companies under them. Once something happened, the disaster faced by QZ Group could not be eliminated. Therefore, after Zack mentioned this point, Luna could only nod happily. We will definitely give you a satisfactory explanation. Zack did not say anything else and got up to prepare to leave. But at this moment, an unfamiliar phone call came over. Hello, may I ask if you are Mr. Zack? We are at the People's Hospital of the city. Mr. Walker is currently undergoing treatment here. If it is convenient for you, please come over.